It looked like the beginning of the end to weeks of violence and political deadlock in Kenya. President Kibaki and leader of the opposition Raila Odinga, brought together by former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan.
We arrived here barely a week ago and went straight to work. And with the cooperation of the parties, we've been able to move the process forward. And today we are here to launch face-to-face negotiations.
But 4 weeks on and still no deal, Mr. Annan is on the brink of giving up on Kenya's politicians. He says the two parties are simply not capable of resolving the outstanding issues, adding that he and the panel of eminent Africans brokering the talks have done their work. The arrival of US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice forced President Kibaki and the opposition leader to at least agree to share power.
There needs to be a governance arrangement that will allow real power sharing, that will allow a coalition, indeed a grand coalition, so that Kenya can be governed.
Negotiators from both sides of the political divide agreed to create the post of Prime Minister for opposition leader Raila Odinga. But what the two parties can't agree on is whether to give the leader of the opposition any executive powers as the country's potential new Prime Minister. There's also the question of whether those new powers should be protected by the country's constitution. The government negotiators are very reluctant to devolve any real power to Raila Odinga.
There was a review.
Some feel a hastily put together power sharing deal will create a serious constitutional and governance crisis.
If they have agreed to share power, then ODM should have some of those powers. But once we have set up two centers of power in the same government, once we have set up two governments in one, I can assure you that a lot of problems will follow. Remember, grand coalitions have worked best in countries that are ethnically and racially homogeneous. Ours is a multi-ethnic society where ethnic divisions run deep.
And as the politicians continue to fight over who gets power and how much, there are serious fears that the impasse will spark more violence. The opposition are calling for a resumption of mass protests if a deal is not reached by Wednesday night. Kenyans are bracing themselves. Yvonne Ndege, Al Jazeera, Nairobi, Kenya.